Did Sean Payton drop a couple of truth bombs when it came to running backs and wide receivers at the owners' meeting? We're diving deep into that right now. All right, Broncos country, it is that time of the year where coaches, general managers, and owners are at the owners' meetings. It'd be weird if the owners weren't there and they called it that still. They're all out in Palm Beach, catching some sun, sitting on a beach, probably have one of those drinks with an umbrella in it. I know we all just got jealous, right? That's what's going down at the owners' meetings. And Sean Payton, George Payton, Greg Pinner, and Damani Leach all spoke with the media today. I think I did my 3 and 4 backwards. But we're going to talk about what Sean had to say today because we care about the roster and that guy's coaching the roster. So we know they need a running back. We also know that it's time to pay the piper when it comes to Courtland Sutton. So let's start with the running back. They didn't get one in free agency, and something that we learned from Sean Payton this morning was that they didn't like the draft or the free agent class. He said it was a little thin. His words, free agent running back class, a little thin. Now, there's still a guy out there that I've actually talked about with you guys here on Dover on Denver, in J.K. Dobbins. He calls it thin. I think J.K.'s probably still got quite a bit left in the tank at just 26 years old, on his way to turning 27 in the season. But what does it cost? So I think you got to listen to Sean carefully in some of these things. He calls the class thin, or the players that are available thin in free agency. I think what he really means is it's thin, and then the guys that have some talent are too much money for what we're comfortable in spending. So he calls it thin. We know they didn't do anything. They added plenty of players in free agency. None of them just came at running back. Then he talked about this running back class and how deep it is and how they can find a guy maybe at 20, maybe at 51, maybe at 85. How about at 20 and at 85? Heck, you want to get nuts? I'll get nuts. How about 20 and 51 in their first and second rounds? They need 2 running backs. I don't care which way you have it or which 2 are your favorite. I'd love to hear your favorites in the comment section here. I've started to kind of fall in love with the idea of Omarion Hampton at 20 because Ashton Genty's not going to be there at number 20. I actually like Travion Henderson a little bit better than Omarion Hampton, but I don't know that Travion Henderson has the juice to be the 20th overall pick. But like I said, I've fallen in love with him, so I wouldn't be that mad about it. That's a dude that is certainly going to be a dynamic back running the ball. And I believe that a guy like Travion Henderson has more wide receiver skill, ball catching ability, and then out in space to make people miss more so than a guy like Omarion Hampton. So that's kind of what I would look at. Heck, maybe you don't even pick at number 20 and you trade back and you end up with 2 second-round picks and you were to trade or pick a Travion Henderson early in that second round and add some draft capital. But he did tell us they are looking at running backs in the draft. We know it's a position of need. We know it's a huge position of need. Look at the guys that are in the running back room right now. He also mentioned giving those guys more chance to progress. Those were his words. But are we really down with that? Broncos country, do you want to see more of Audric Estime? He's the one that I don't really have a hard opinion on of like, get him out of here or give him a chance. He's a 5th round pick from a year ago that didn't get a lot of opportunities. And then when he did, he had 3 or 4 fumbles. Maybe one goes back to training camp, but you can't be doing that as a rookie and certainly not as a 5th round pick. So if Audric Estime was on the team, I might understand why you're giving him a bit more time. But if he were not on the team, I'd understand why he wasn't on the team either. Jaleel McLaughlin, that's another one of the guys that he wants to see continue to progress. How long does that guy get? Jaleel McLaughlin is a hell of a worker. Remember, he's the guy that shows up at 5 and he's the first one in and the last one out. And that will get you places. I promise you. That'll go a certain ways. But if you can't produce on the field, I don't care if you get there at 4 a.m. and you stay till 9. Hell, sleep over, man. If you're not producing on the field, see you later. Time to go. And I think at this point of Jaleel McLaughlin's football career, it's probably best for both him and the Broncos to just move on. Get a change of scenery for Jaleel, and maybe he can turn into the player that we in Broncos country, and I think that the staff under Sean Payton thought he could be. They gave him plenty of opportunities. When he beats the defender to that outside edge, yeah, he can get some yardage, score some of those, 7-8 yards touchdowns when you're in the red zone. But when you get him in space with a quick little check down pass or it's an intentional screen pass for him, when's the last time you seen Jaleel McLaughlin break a shoestring tackle? Go ahead, rack your brain for a second. That's right. There isn't one. You couldn't think of one because there is not one. So Audric Estime, I don't have a hard opinion on if he is or is not here. Jaleel McLaughlin, I think it's time to turn the page. And there's another reason to the Jaleel McLaughlin turn the page. It's a dude named Blake Watson. Shout out to my radio partner, Cecil Lammy. He's been all over this dude for about a year. Now, he's a kid from Memphis that was a wide receiver converted to running back. What has Sean Payton said? He's looking for his real joker, a running back with pass catching ability, wide receiver skill set. We all think Evan Ingram's going to be that dude. Maybe it's still out there, and it's a running back that Sean Payton's looking at for the joker. Now, I'm not here to tell you it's Blake Watson, but I am here to tell you I'm done with Jaleel McLaughlin, and Blake Watson and Jaleel McLaughlin have the same body type, have the same build. So why wouldn't you just give Blake some of those opportunities that you were giving Jaleel, and let's see if that dude can run with it. And then another name, kind of a wild card, and it's Tyler Bidet. Bidet, he changed his name last year, and he changed it to Bidet. But remember, he got hurt and had this really bad, strange-looking back injury. Was it New York? I believe it was New York, if memory serves me properly. Had to stay in the hospital there a couple of days, even after the team made its way back to the Mile High City. He's a dude that's popped here and there, but has never been good enough to go, yeah, you got to get him on the 53-man roster. And you got to give him a jersey on Sunday and let him touch the ball 10, 15 times and see what he can do. I think he started to earn some of those reps and opportunities and then got hurt. But I feel the same way about a Tyler Bidet that I almost do an Audric Estime. How many years have you had on the practice squad and you still never really popped? And then when you did, you had to deal with the tough injury. That's tough football luck, but sometimes just that's the way of the world, man, and the way the cookie crumbles. So I wouldn't be upset if this running back room, by the time we get to the end of August and they're starting to get ready for cutdown day, if not Jaleel, Audric, Tyler Bidet, or Blake Watson were on the roster. You go get two more in the draft. Maybe there's a player that you add, a training camp body that you add late, and they start to pop, and then you still, for some reason, have freaking Michael Burton on the roster, a fullback for a team that hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards in 90 years. You sign a fullback. And I'm the crazy one. I wouldn't be upset at all if the roster right now, the running backs on the roster right now, none of them are on the roster when the 53-man roster is picked. None of them are good enough to have earned that, hey, write my name down and pin, because it's not going anywhere. The running backs have not been good enough for the Denver Broncos in the 2 years under Sean Payton, and it's about time that stops. And if it doesn't, if they don't get Bo Nix a legitimate running game, and it doesn't have to be all running game. That's why I talked about a pass catching back, because that's what Sean wants. It has to be a running back that gets 15 to 18 touches, because they're not going to be carries, touches, and is flirting with 100+ yards from scrimmage week in and week out. If they don't get that, this Broncos team isn't going to turn from 10 to 12 wins. There's a chance that they turn in from like 10 to 9 wins if they don't address that position. That is why it's so important. You have to get a running back, two, in my case, this year in the draft for the Denver Broncos. And I believe after listening to Sean Payton this morning at owners' meetings, that is exactly what he's going to do. All right. Next thing that I want to talk about learning from the owners' meetings is Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton's been a big topic of conversation with the Broncos. Will they or won't they give him a contract extension? Look, is he eligible for it? Absolutely. Is he due? Is it his time? Is it time to pay the piper when it comes to Courtland? Yes. However, as Stephen A would say, there is a limit to that. And I've told you before, I feel like it's $20 million. Now, because the New England Patriots ruining the market the way they did and gave Stephon Diggs all that money, that's probably now bumped up to 22, 23 million. And I think Courtland's going to get that, because something we learned from Sean Payton this morning at owners meetings is that at the NFL Combine, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos told Courtland Sutton and his agent, we promise that we are going to negotiate in good faith. We promise that we'll negotiate in good faith and get Courtland Sutton what the market value is. Well, you can go to Spot Rack or SpoTrack, whatever the heck it is you call it, and you can see his market value. It's about $23 million a year. So because they told Courtland and his agent that, Courtland then responded with, hey, I know you got to focus on the draft, and if the draft is done and we still don't have a deal when these voluntary OTAs start to show up, I will be there because you have promised to negotiate in good faith. Now, if some strange miracle happens and like Tedero McMillan is available at 20 from the University of Arizona and the Broncos select him, I might take that good faith and throw it right out the window if I were you, Courtland Sutton. But that's a huge if. So, Broncos country, you should be fired up about that news. Courtland Sutton can and will help this team if he's on it with the contract extension. I was just never and still am not in the business of breaking the bank for a guy like Courtland Sutton. Running backs and wide receivers. Sean Payton checked that box, told us what the plan is there today at owners' meetings, and I like both of the plans. You need 2 in the draft, and go ahead and reward Courtland Sutton and give him that contract extension. Broncos country, what say you? Leave a comment while you're here. Like, subscribe, check out everything we're doing on Denver Sports YouTube. I'll talk to you on Wednesday. This has been Dover on Denver, and now I'm done.